those that don't know, I'm Evangelist Lynn Taylor.
Amen.
And I'm going to be so before we get into Amanda speaking and what she has for us, I just want to ask Beth. I've asked Beth to come around and just take just about 5 or 10 minutes, whatever she feels like she needs to take, and just share of some of the things the Lord has done for her. Beth and I connected before this ministry was started. And we connected through me writing a book that was a 30-year prophecy. You know, I believe in taking my time about doing things, so it took me 30 years for that prophecy to be fulfilled. Anyway, I think it was 30 years worth of junk God had to get out of my life so I could write this book. But anyway, I met Beth through a mutual friend of ours, Miss Dimple McIndale. Woohoo! And Dimple got us together, and the rest, as they say, is history. And I'm taking her time, I'm taking her speech, but hey, I'm going to give it to her.
All right.
I brought my paper, so I will stick with it, otherwise we'll be here for lunch. First of all, I want to tell y'all good morning. I am so glad to be here, and I'm so glad that Lynn asked me to come and be a part of this. I know we're all going to be blessed beyond anything we can imagine. And like Lynn said, my name is Beth Rogers, and I'm the owner of Around the Loop Designs, which is based in Rutledge, where I live. And it gets its name from the Rutledge Loop. I've just always been fascinated by the Rutledge Loop. So like Lynn said, one of the big parts of my business is I help people publish their books, mostly new authors and small market authors. And you know, you can be self-published, but a lot of people don't want to go that route for whatever reason. They're not comfortable doing it. They don't have all the skill sets they need. So the things that you're not able to do, I can help you do. And I can do things like edit, proofread, layout, cover design, and I also help with other things. You know, if you get writer's block, I can punch you up a little bit and help you get past that. And I also help design websites, logos, letterhead, business signs, business cards, things like that. I do computer assistance, as Lynn has said, and I do photography. And again, as Lynn said, she asked me to come and take pictures today, so you'll see me doing that. And like Lynn said, she and I met. Dimple McIndale was publishing a magazine, and I was helping her. It was called New Beginnings for Women, and I was helping her publish that magazine. And Dimple actually featured Lynn in one of the magazines, and Dimple says, you know, I think you two need to get together. And like Lynn said, again, we met at Cracker Barrel, and the rest is history. I didn't realize at the time that she'd been working on it 30 years, but she's not taking quite so much time on this project she's working on now, so if y'all see her, just punch her up. But anyway, I've helped her publish both of her books. I helped her with some other design work, and as she said, I helped her get her radio program on YouTube so that anybody around the world who has internet access can see it anytime, listen to it anytime. And it has been such a blessing to me to partner with Lynn. I have met so many people. I don't always get to come on Thursdays when Lynn records, but the times that I have been awesome blessings. It never fails. This last Thursday is a great example. It never fails. I always get, it's like being in church. We go have lunch, and the lady that's going to speak talks to us a little bit, shares just a little bit, and it's like being in church. It's like being in church. I mean, I just can't say any more about it than that. They have, the testimonies I've heard have challenged me. You know, each of us get to thinking that, well, nobody has ever had a problem like I've had. I've been through so much. And then you get hearing these other people, and you think, well, you know, maybe mine wasn't quite as bad as I thought it was. And two, you've got somebody else that can listen to you and say, I've been through where you're going through, and I can help you. I have a friend, Tamitha Latham, that Lynn is in the process of getting to know, and she has got an unbelievable testimony. I helped her with her book. But her favorite saying is that God likes to stir things with his big spoon. And I love to see how God has put me in the mix with so many awesome women and is continuing to, and I know he's going to in the future. So, excuse me, I'd like to tell y'all a little story about Lynn and I.
For a long,
Okay. I've had my business, I work from home, had it for almost 10 years. But for a long time, I was also working at the local grocery store part-time. And I had been praying all during that time, Lord, please let me work from home full-time. Let me, not that I didn't love my job, but let me work from home full-time, because there's so many things that I wanted to do that time just wouldn't let me. So in February of last year, I began to feel like God was saying, okay, it's time. It's getting to be time. And so I talked it over with my husband, and we prayed about it, and he agreed that it was time. But I was still nervous, so I had to turn to my friend Lynn, and we were talking one night on Facebook, because I was worried, what if I'm not hearing what God has to say? What if it's me, my wishful thinking? I know y'all do the same thing. You really want to do something, and God may be saying do it, but you're thinking, well, I don't know, is it me, is it God, whatever is it? So I was talking to Lynn one night on Facebook, watching TV and tapping away on the keys, and I told her that I felt like God had spoken to me and said, Beth, you're not going to have to work on Sundays anymore, because that was one of the things. Most Sundays I had to work either morning or afternoon, and I missed church. And it was getting next to me. It's hard not to go to church when you know that's where you need to be. And I need it. Every time I can go, I need it. I tell people I get mean if I don't go to church, and they laugh, but I'm not joking. That's right. Let me stay in church as many times as I need to be. So anyway, we were talking about different things, and I was telling Lynn, and she was telling me all the benefits I was going to have because I'd be working from home. And so then I said, well, I can step out and do this. I'll just resign and step out for a couple of months. And if it doesn't work, if things are not going like I think they ought to, my boss will hire me back. I know she will. She's a good person, and she likes me, and I know she'll hire me back. And Lynn just right quick said, God doesn't have a plan B. And that really hit me. And I've thought about that a lot of times. God doesn't have a plan B. And like my friend Michelle back there says, quitting is not an option. So anyway, I ended up turning my notice in on March 4th, and I thought that was very appropriate because God had given me my marching orders. And so I talked to the store manager, who's a Christian, and I told her that I knew this was what God wanted me to do, that He wanted me to be at home. There were so many things I needed to be doing, but I also felt like I was running full tilt, just as hard as I could run toward a cliff. Just going to run off that cliff. And I thought, I don't know what's going to happen. But I knew God would either catch me or He would teach me to fly. And there's been no going back. So, working from home full time has been awesome because I've set my own hours. If I need to work 12 hours today so I can do something tomorrow, I can do that. My mom lives in Montgomery. I'm able to go and be with her at almost every, I won't say every, but almost every doctor's appointment. And that is very important to me. I lost my dad and one of my brothers in 2012. And that brother was their main caregiver. So I've kind of taken over that job, and I'm doing my very best to do it as good as I can. And I get to spend time with her. I don't have to worry about, I got to hurry up and be home so I can go to work at 3 o'clock, or I have to hurry up and go home so I can do so-and-so. And I also have the awesome privilege of keeping 2 of my granddaughters one day a week while their mom is finishing her college degree. And there's nothing that I would take for that. Nothing. I don't ever feel rushed. I get to go and spend all day, and we just get to have fun and watch TV, watch Frozen, Let It Go. But another important part of it is I get to spend time with my husband. We are starting our own ministry, and I need to be able to turn loose and go with him because his day off rotates. He doesn't have the same day off every week because of his job. And I need to be able to get up this morning and him be off and say, I think we need to go ride so-and-so. Because that's what our ministry is going to be based on. I don't know if y'all noticed, I rode my motorcycle. My husband's been riding motorcycles since he was a young teenager. Bought his first one when he was 14. And that's how he proposed to me, was told me that as long as I stayed with him, we would be young, and when our children got out of school, we would buy motorcycles and tour the country. And how cool is that? So in 2007, he bought me my first motorcycle and taught me to ride. And since that time, this may not sound like many, but it sounds like a lot to me. I've ridden over 50,000 miles. We've been to Panama City Beach. We've ridden to Huntsville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg. And we've ridden all the way on up into Tennessee where the tail of the dragon is. I'll tell y'all about that later. But anyway, through all those miles, God has been faithful. He's been right there with us. He's kept us safe. He's introduced us to people that we wouldn't normally get to speak to. You'd be amazed at the number of people that will talk to you if you get off a motorcycle. Everybody's fascinated. Little kids, old ladies, they're all fascinated by motorcycles. And there are people that we get to speak to we wouldn't normally get to speak to, and God has opened those doors for us. So that's what our ministry is going to be. We're going to be working in the biker community to reach them for God. this. If you believe God is showing you to do something, trust Him that He's going to lead you the right way. My pastor has a saying, and I quote it a lot of times. I'll say, Brother Price, I don't want to mess up, and he'll look at me. He says, do you want to do something wrong? And I'll say, no. He says, then you won't. If you don't want to mess up, you won't. If you're trying to keep your eyes on Jesus, He's going to make sure that He stops you before you mess up. So if God is leading you to do something, do it. Don't jump ahead of Him, because I'm bad at that. But don't lag behind. Just try to stay in step with Him. He will trust you. He will help you in your decisions, and you can trust Him. Now I want to finish by saying this. I'm so glad God was listening to me all that time I was praying for this. And I'm also thankful that He didn't answer it the first time I prayed it, because I wasn't ready. I thought I was, but sometimes you got to learn things. And I had to learn a lot of things before I was ready for what I'm doing now. And sometimes I still think I'm not completely ready, but I'm still learning. So listen to me. I'm thankful that I have friends like Lynn who listen to me and support me. And sometimes she pushes me. I push her, she pushes me. But you have to do that sometimes. And I'm thankful that she was faithful to remind me that God does not have a plan B. And so now I'd like to leave you with this scripture, which is one of my life verses, and I know y'all probably all know it. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And of course, that's Jeremiah 29:11. Thank you all.
I want you to repeat after me, ladies. I want you to say, when I say yes, God will do the rest.
God will do the rest.
Pretty simple, isn't it? All He wants is for us to say yes. When we say yes, He'll do the rest. Amen? I'm so glad Beth said yes, because I don't know nothing about working a computer. Well, I know Facebook.
Ask about autocorrect sometimes.
No, don't ask them. Jibber jibber jabber, that's the way I type in. Okay? It's really takes excellent people to read it. Praise God. We just wanted to give you this little token of our appreciation. The catch is you have to open it right here, right now, in front of God and everybody. She can do that.
My granddaughters have taught me how to open presents.
Hey, and parents and paper.
Oh my goodness. It says around the loop. And then on the back it says you write the dream, we make it come through. Around the Loop Publications.